What is wrong with Loba, and why are people not using her as much as they might be? My name's Tagg, and I'm the greatest gutter tier gamer on the face of this earth, and today I want you to pop me a comment right now. Let me know what you think of this legend, and, well, except for those of you that are gonna say, the reason people don't use her is because she's bad. No, man, she's teddy bad, omega bad. People only use her because she's thick. Right. For those of you that are gonna say that, I have now saved you the trouble by giving you the voices that you deserved. You can shut your mouths, and for the rest of you, put that comment for me and let me know what you think of her. Because I actually had a different type of video planned. I wasn't necessarily going to make a negative video about Loba, but I certainly wasn't going to celebrate her. But I started gathering footage about it, and then I realised, yeah, she's actually really good. And not only that, but I have now smashed my elimination record with this legend. Don't worry, I will be uploading that for you as a tale. Well, I kind of a tale. I might just put it to music. I am getting lazy these days. However, what I want to do first is talk to you about the way I see her in her abilities and all the rest of it, pros and cons, talk about the pro scene a little bit, and just, talk about why I think her pick rate is maybe down somewhat this season. So, when I've been using her, I've been really enjoying her tactical, which is something that has changed from when I first used her. I thought she was just this predictable piece of trash that as you throw that big sparkly bangle thingy, you can just trace it as she goes, and then boom, obviously easy kill. But the way that I see it now is a lot better for things like if you've got these cliffs at World's Edge, some of them that you want to go up and maybe get the jump on your enemy teams, or perhaps just escape unnoticed. You can sort of get there by scrambling up several cliff faces, and some of them require pinpoint accuracy. Well, they do in my case, because I honestly just have no idea how to get up some of them. So I found it really useful for that. Just shortcuts all that time, all those fails, just going up, down, up, down, up, down. Not to mention when your teammate's trying to scramble up the same thing and then you end up just sort of pulling each other down. I don't know about you guys, but that is actually one of the most triggering things for me these days. The other thing I like it for, obviously, is getting on top of buildings, and getting behind enemies is really good for that as well. But something totally unique to any other legend in this game is getting inside buildings that have the windows with the bars. So there are areas, say for example laboratory, where you laboratory, that's a phonological variant. You can look that up. That means it's the same thing, pronounce it two different ways, and you're both wrong, right? So when you're having those big massive fights outside lab and whatnot, and you perhaps see a squad inside the building, Loba can get in there nice and easy. You chuck the bangle through the window. I mean, when I did it before, the thing was just bouncing off the bars, so it does need a little bit more, sort of thought as you're doing it. And you can also use it to escape, so, just getting into these places, no other legend can do that. And that's something that I found really, really important when thinking about it. Her passive, right, so seeing through, walls and buildings and whatnot, and the loot. Powerful early game when deciding to go, where you're going to go next in these high density loot areas. You get the clusters of buildings around rivers in Kings Canyon, or you get Harvester. And there's Countdown now as well in World's Edge, very, very cool. And the ultimate huge buff this season, halving the cooldown from 3 minutes to 90 seconds. I could not believe what I was seeing. Using this in combat now when I'm tucked around the corner, like swapping out my shields if I've been taking a bit of damage, and I'm taking that damage, grabbing extra loot, or even reloading your weapon by just picking another one if there's, nothing else good in the area, is absolutely awesome. Obviously, you can steal from the vault as well, and I know someone was going to mention it, but, I didn't realise that it blows up the moment you use it, so I have my teammates sort of both staring at me thinking, where's my loot, pal? And I'm like, oh yeah, yoink. So with all this great stuff going on, and me, bigging it up and saying, oh, I've just got myself my highest of limbs ever, what is wrong with Loba? Because everything I've just said makes her sound amazing. And it might not be that helpful for me to tell you that pro setups don't really use it either, because, well, due to the specific nature of how they utilize legends at top levels of play, it kind of goes like this so far this season. The combinations are as follows. It's Wraith, Watson, Crypto, and then it's Wraith, Bloodhound, Gibraltar, or Wraith, Bloodhound, Caustic, and Wraith, Gibraltar, Caustic. That's what TSM and NRG and GTG are using. That's Gutter Tier Gamers, by the way. It's my new pro team. I'm accepting applications. Anyway, so when I think about it, the pro teams just have their own meta, and they're using, all the legends in a specific way. They're gatekeeping. And they are essentially, I mean, when you look at the combinations of legends they're using, what exactly is it? Well, obviously, when you have Wraith, she is using this mobility of the portal and her own mobility as well, so that immunity and whatnot, that is obviously amazing. But she is helping teams rotate around the map. And in the pro scene, if you're not using a Wraith, then you're throwing. And I'm finding that in ranked as well. Wraith is in most games, which is probably why Wraiths are getting such a terrible reputation. They just got no patience. They want the game to go their way, and that's it. If they don't, boom, they're out of there. Alright, now, so if we think back to why Loba isn't getting playtime for the general population of players, because obviously we've got Rampart now, so there's a little bit of competition. She's the new girl in town. But when I was playing Loba with a pre-made, with my friends, she does great. You tell them the position of the loot. You know, if you're hearing gunfire and you're thinking, right, should we stay in this area and loot, or should we just go in there and get the job done? It's quite easy then, because you can just take a little look around. If you've all got kind of white body armor and you're seeing the purple, and the gold, then she's obviously going to be able to call it out. Obviously, I'm not going to call it out. When I see a gold, I'm taking that for myself. But you know what I'm saying, when you're with friends, it's actually very useful because they will tell you loads of stuff that they're looking out for. When you're solo queue, people will ping what they want. You might not always remember, and if you're like me, you don't even care. But unless you speak, the info that people pass constantly in the pre-meds, it's just, well, you know what it's like. You know, it's going to diminish the power of all that vision, slowing down the speed at which you move through the game, because, you know, your randos, when you're not talking, you're just pinging, they're going to want to loot buildings, even if there's gunfire in the distance. Now, the other thing I was thinking was, Evo shields are now standard. You know, before, you got Loba, finding a level 3 body armor was clutch, especially, you know, mid to late game, you might not have found these things, because Evo obviously, you know, didn't exist as standard. It is still strong, particularly in the early game, to know where all the shields are, of course, but I feel that this is more relegated to the early game. The next thing to think about is the tactical, so making use of it requires more smarts than it does to play Wraith or Pathfinder. Now, I'm not saying Wraith or Pathfinder are skillless noobs. Okay, maybe I am, but no, hang on, just listen. What I'm trying to say is everyone knows what to expect by a Wraith or a Pathfinder, and I think it's so widely documented the uses of the tacticals of these heroes. But to be fair, they do get more value of them anyway. Wraith is harder to track mid-void. She's obviously immune. She sees everyone in the void and she can bob and weave. Pathfinder, once he hooks onto whatever it is, he gets the momentum and the swing. All in all, once those tacticals are activated, these high mobility heroes, then they don't have the same kind of dead time that Loba does. As you know, you see the little bar coming down and you know the trail that goes with the bangle. By the way, it also might just be me, but it feels to me as if Loba's bangle bracelet thing, we call it a bangle in Scotland, I don't know what you call it elsewhere, it's louder. It feels louder than Pathfinder's grapple and Wraith's little void thing. So I do believe it gives off a bit more of that swing. Do you like that? That's my new sound effect now for bangle. Every time I use the bracelet, swing. Anyway, the other thing, the next one is the ultimate. Now, a lot of people favour things which have dynamic impact and they don't leave you vulnerable in some way. And I'm saying that because to use Loba's ultimate in a fight, it is a bit like opening a death box compared to, say, protecting the entire team with Watson's whirligig. Alright, it's an interception pylon, but I have now renamed it to whirligig in the previous video. Moving the team somewhere, as I mentioned before, Wraith's portal, or smashing the enemy team with an EMP from Crypto, Gibraltar's ultimate, Bloodhound's insane tracking abilities, you know, while they're in their ultimate with the hunt. That is a ludicrous cooldown of that tactical, by the way. It's absolutely awesome. I really want to play more of that this season. Anyway, does any of what I was saying above make Loba bad? No, I don't think so at all. I just think she's losing out to legends with team-wide instant impact abilities. It's just making everything more dynamic in combat. And with coordination and teamwork, I think she is actually very good, but it is easy to see why she's losing out to the preferences of tried and proven strategies. Now, with the ultimate cooldown being so insane, these creative plays can be utilised so much more now before. Like shoving the market down right behind the door, and as you're as a friend, you got enemies all over the place. They can't kick the door in, and if they do, it's right there. And you can use the thing as a shield if you're out in the open if need be. It's just because every 90 seconds, you're just whamming that thing down. It's great. But Loba's best uses just don't fall under the mainstream eye of, you know, like bunker in here and gatekeep that. And I think she needs people around her who are ready to think outside the box, or just do what I do, don't use any abilities, and then you can quite happily main all the legends with equal aptitude. Alright guys, let me know in the comments what you think about Loba if you haven't already. I'm very interested to see what you think she is. I'm going to be playing a lot of her, and that's my excuse if anyone ever says, you know, I'm not performing well. Oh yeah, well, I'm not a meta player, pal. Right, take it easy, shut your mouth, catch you in the next one, later.